Have you ever been exiled from your own family table because a total stranger decided you were a threat to his reputation? I sat in my car, staring at a text from my mother banning me from Thanksgiving dinner, all because my sister's new fiancé claimed I made him uncomfortable. He told my parents I was a bitter, jealous sister who was trying to sabotage his career. He thought by locking me out of the house, he was locking away his secrets. But what he didn't realize is that I don't need a seat at the table to find out exactly who's eating from it. He thought he was protecting his future. He was actually just giving me the holiday weekend to finish my investigation into his past. My name is Claire. I'm a senior compliance officer for a private equity firm. My job is literally to spot the things people try to hide in the fine print. When my younger sister, Jenna, introduced us to Marcus, the whole family was enchanted. He was a senior vice president at a tech firm we'd never heard of, but he spoke in big words and even bigger promises. He told my parents he'd handle their retirement investments. He told Jenna he'd buy her a house in the hills. Trust wasn't just built, it was manufactured. He'd bring over $500 bottles of wine and talk about synergy and market disruption. My parents, who worked 30 years in the public school system, looked at him like he was the son they'd always wanted. I didn't suspect him at first. Why would I? I wanted Jenna to be happy. I even invited him to a corporate mixer my firm was hosting, thinking I could help him network. But during that mixer, I noticed something small, a glitch in the matrix. A colleague of mine asked Marcus about his time at a specific hedge fund he'd mentioned on his LinkedIn. Marcus blinked, laughed it off, and quickly changed the subject to the appetizers. It was a 3-second hesitation. To anyone else, it was just a social awkwardness. To a compliance officer, it was a red flag the size of a billboard. After that night, Marcus changed. He didn't just avoid me. He started a whisper campaign. He told Jenna I was looking down on him. He told my parents I was trying to interrogate him because I was jealous of their success. By the time November rolled around, the trap was set, and I was the one being pushed out of the family circle. The first doubt turned into a certainty when I decided to do a simple background check, the kind I do for every new hire at my firm. I didn't do it to be mean. I did it to be sure. The first red flag? The university he claimed to graduate from had no record of a Marcus Thorne. The second red flag was more dangerous. I found a public filing for a small LLC he'd set up 3 months ago, the same LLC he was using to manage my parents' retirement savings. It wasn't an investment fund. It was a holding company with a single bank account in the Cayman Islands. That's when it hit me, this wasn't just a guy puffing up his resume. This was a predator who had found a soft target in my family. And the reason he'd convinced my parents to ban me from Thanksgiving? It wasn't because I made him uncomfortable. It was because the investment transfer for my parents' life savings was scheduled for the Monday after the holiday. He needed me out of the house, so I wouldn't see the paperwork. He needed me silenced, so he could finalize the theft of 40 years of my parents' hard work while they were distracted by turkey and family toasts. I watched him on my sister's Instagram story, carving the turkey at the table where I should have been sitting. He looked so confident. He even made a toast to family and trust. I didn't call Jenna. I didn't send a frantic group text. I sat in my quiet apartment, opened a new spreadsheet, and began documenting the synergy of his downfall. In the world of high finance, silence isn't just golden, it's a weapon. Marcus thought he had won because he'd cleared the room of his only critic. But by banning me from that house, he gave me exactly what I needed, 48 hours of uninterrupted time to build a cage he couldn't see. I didn't call the police. Not yet. Local police don't handle complex interstate wire fraud on a holiday weekend. Instead, I called the compliance director at the clearinghouse Marcus was using to transfer my parents' funds. I didn't tell them he was a liar. I told them, with the authority of my firm, that we were flagging a suspicious activity report on a connected LLC. I spent Friday morning drafting a formal request for verification of credentials. I sent it to his supposed employer, CCing my parents' personal email accounts and the family's estate lawyer. I didn't include an angry note. I just attached the No Records Found PDF from the university registrar. Then, I did something Marcus never expected. I sent a gorgeous, expensive bouquet of lilies to my parents' house. The card didn't say, "I'm sorry." It said, "Thinking of you. I've sent a gift to your inbox that will secure your future far better than I ever could." I knew Marcus would be checking their emails. I knew he'd see the audit headers. I was giving him a choice. He could try to delete the evidence and look guilty, or he could try to explain a clerical error that didn't exist. I was letting the system he tried to mimic become the very thing that hunted him. The exposure didn't happen with a dramatic entrance. It happened over Sunday brunch. My father, a man who spent 30 years teaching history, knows how to spot a forged source when it's pointed out to him. He'd opened the audit email I sent. He'd seen the "no record found" from the university. And then he'd seen the freeze notice on the LLC account. Marcus tried to pivot. I watched it happen through the window, not literally, but through the frantic texts Jenna started sending me. "Claire, what did you do? Marcus says there's a misunderstanding with the bank. He's saying you're trying to freeze his assets out of spite." I finally picked up the phone. I didn't talk to Jenna. I asked her to put it on speaker and hand it to my father. "Dad," I said, my voice calm and professional. "Ask Marcus to log into his firm's employee portal right now. Not his personal site, the corporate one. And ask him why the SEC just issued a cease and desist to his LLC an hour ago." The silence on the other end was deafening. I could hear Marcus's voice in the background, getting higher, faster. He was talking about glitches and conspiracies. But then, my father asked the one question Marcus couldn't answer. "If this is all a mistake, Marcus, why is the bank saying the transfer was headed to a private account in your name and not an investment fund?" The perfect fiancé didn't have a script for that. He didn't realize that while he was carving the turkey, I was carving up his paper trail. The bus station. He knew the game was over. Because I'd flagged the accounts early, the transfer never cleared. My parents' retirement, every cent they'd saved over 40 years, was stayed in their original accounts. He disappeared before the formal charges could be filed, but the Thorne alias is now blacklisted in every major financial database in the country. He won't be managing anyone's future ever again. My parents apologized. It was a quiet, heavy apology over cold tea. They realized that their jealous daughter was the only thing standing between them and a destitute old age. Jenna took it the hardest, but she's a survivor. She realized that a wedding gown is a lot easier to return than a stolen life. I didn't win by crashing the dinner. I didn't win by being the loudest person in the room. I won by being the most informed. I won by realizing that when someone tries to ban you from the table, it's usually because they're afraid you'll see what's under the tablecloth.
I'm Claire.
My family is smaller now, but it's real. And the next time someone tells you you're uncomfortable to be around, take it as a compliment. It usually means you're the only one who can see the truth. Good night. But tell me, have you ever been the villain in a family story just for telling the truth? Have you ever had to save someone who didn't want to be saved? Tell me your stories in the comments. Did you speak up, or did you let the clock run out? If you believe that family loyalty should never mean blind trust, hit that subscribe button. Stay observant, keep your records straight, and remember, the most dangerous person at the table is the one who's too perfect to be true. Good night.